That's Jalen Hurts with a 9-yard touchdown run against Washington last week. Of course, it's now Eagles and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Joining us now, Super Bowl MVP with the Rams. Of course, took the Cardinals to the Super Bowl as well. Kurt Warner now on ESPN 620. How are we doing today, Kurt? What's going on?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Good, man. So is this the calm before the storm, or are you already in? Have you already started the chaos?
Well, I mean, the great thing for me is like during the regular season when I have to watch 16 games and go through all the tape and do all of that, it makes for a grind. When you're down to two teams, and you know two teams because you've watched them all year long, and you really only have to go back and kind of watch their matchups or watch their previous game, it makes it a lot easier. And you dive into more of the nuance of the game, the different matchups, the different key aspects of the game, but you're not looking at 32 teams and trying to go that route. So I'm already in the heart of it, but I've already got most of my work done for the Super Bowl, and so it's kind of nice that you got 2 weeks and you get a lot of it done, and now you get to sit back, talk about it, and enjoy it.
Kurt, I'm just interested in that. You watch the Chiefs all year, you watch the Eagles all year long, and I know these guys do a lot of self-scouting just to make sure that somebody can't get their tendencies down pat. But what is the commonality when you watch the Chiefs all year going into this game? And what is the commonality with the Eagles as you watch them all year coming into this game that makes them so successful?
Well, I mean, the first thing with the Chiefs is they evolve throughout the year. And so, I got a chance to sit down with Andy and Patrick this week and kind of asked them a little bit about that. And, a big part of their process is, trying things throughout the year. Knowing they're a good team and they're winning games, trying things with different guys and seeing what they can do and what their role has to be. And I think a great example is like Xavier Worthy. Came into the year and, we heard all about his speed and breaking the record at the combine and expected him to be that big play guy for this team. And, we've seen some moments of that, but that's just not how this Chiefs team is really built. And he didn't really show the consistency to be that guy every time out. So you've seen him kind of evolve into, this year's version of Rashee Rice, where he's the underneath guy. He's the trick play guy. He's the guy that you get the ball in his hands quickly and allow him to use that speed and playmaking to make the big plays on short throws, which is what the Chiefs have really been. And so that's kind of the interesting thing to watch is how they've evolved throughout the year to become, a team that can compete for a championship again, because on paper, they don't blow you away. When you watch them every week, they don't blow you away. They're not wowing you with this unbelievable offense that they have, but they just find ways to put their different playmakers in the right position to succeed. And that's been kind of the fun thing to watch, coupled with, Patrick doing Patrick things, which is, again, this year, it's not the no-look passes and the 40-yard bombs. It's third down, move the chains. How do you get to move the chains this time? Oh, use your legs a little bit, buy a little bit of time, get the ball out of your hands quickly. But he's so masterful at making decisions in the moment and moving the chains that's really been kind of their MO this year compared to years in the past. And then on the other side, I mean, obviously we all know it's started and ended with Saquon Barkley this year and that offensive line and dominating there. And so the pass game has really taken a back seat to that. But I think we have to, make sure that we don't just overlook Jalen Hurts and what he's capable of and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, because I think we got a glimpse in the championship game again. Or if you go back and watch the Super Bowl from 2 years ago, I mean, Jalen Hurts was awesome. And he made big throw after big throw, and he's shown the capabilities of doing that. They just haven't needed to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see, what the Chiefs defense does if they're really able to take away Saquon Barkley, which nobody's really done all year. But if they're capable of doing that, what does that mean with, them having to, cover on the outside? And, and Jalen could easily shine on that in that respect again.
Kurt Warner here on ESPN 620 with Rock Manuch. I want to stay with Jalen, Kurt. 2 years ago, he finished his second in MVP. Everyone's talking about him being an elite quarterback. Now, here he is, and some people don't even consider him a top 10 quarterback. What happened?
I don't think anything has happened other than, there's a couple things. I mean, first is he not putting up crazy numbers?
True.
That year they did a lot more RPO type stuff that year, and so there was more numbers, and I think he was more integral to it that year because of those things. Saquon has taken some of the shine from Jalen. That's another part of it, but they just haven't had to do it. It hasn't had to be their calling card really at all this year. I mean, it's been more of a complimentary piece. And so, and again, I think that's what we're falling asleep on a little bit, is kind of like Jalen can't do it as opposed to he hasn't had to do it, because in the moments where they've asked him to do it, he's done it really, really well. They just haven't asked him. And now the one thing to me with Jalen is he does have a tendency to hold the ball. And there'll be times where I think there's things that I know he can make the throw that are in front of him, and he doesn't take it. And so the question there becomes, is he not seeing it? Is he simply just being more cautious with the ball because he knows how they're built and how good they are, and he doesn't have to take any chances? But I think that will, be interesting, as it plays out, especially if they get into third down situations and Spags is able to bring the blitz. Is he holding the football, and does it lead to negative plays or sacks? Or is he able to turn those things into positive plays? But I don't think there's really anything missing this year outside of the fact that he hasn't had to do it, because when they've asked him to just a few times, he's done exactly what they needed him to do, and he's made play after play. We just don't see it as much this year.
Kurt, I'm just very, very interested to see your thoughts in reference to Kellen Moore, the OC for the Eagles, versus that you just mentioned Spagnuolo, that chess match. And then on the other side, Vic Fangio being hired by the Eagles, taking on Andy Reid, one of the greatest play callers, the greatest coaches of all time. What will you look for, or have you already seen it early in a game as these two masterminds, or these four masterminds, go against each other?
Well, I think whenever Andy Reid is in a game, I think the thing that I always look for is, what's going to be the change up that they use. They always, especially down in the red zone, they love to come up with, different packages in the red zone that nobody's ever seen before. And I believe going into the Super Bowl, they're going to have that. They're going to have that, package. And will the Eagles defense be ready for that? Will they be able to respond to that? In the championship game, they went into that kind of two tight end set. One, they handed it to Kareem Hunt, and he scores a touchdown running it. The next one is kind of that last touchdown where Patrick follows his two tight ends and walks into the end zone. But they always have some interesting things in the red zone. In terms of, Spags versus Kellen Moore, I'll be interested to see how much they move Jalen Hurts. I think that's kind of a difference maker, is his threat not only helps Saquon Barkley, but him out in space seems to be where he's most comfortable at creating. Whether that's championship game, they ran 2 or 3 rollout passes. The RPO game was a little bit more back in the championship game, and that was integral. And then in that game, we saw a couple quarterback draws. He scored on both of them. One was called back for holding. And then if you go back to Super Bowl 57, he actually scored on kind of a quarterback counter and also a quarterback sweep in that game. So that's another area that I think, seeing that early and making Spags and that Chiefs defense really pay attention to Jalen Hurts and his legs, I think not only, helps their offense, but it's going to help Saquon and make it tougher to stop.
About a minute and a half.
All right, Kurt, you're pretty active on social media, on X, Twitter, Kurt13Warner. So I saw earlier this week that you posted, I see so many videos of young quarterbacks throwing and coaches posting play designs. Makes me want to play or coach again. You know where we got to go with that.
Is that a
Coach,
smoke? Is that
Coach Warner?
Is that a smoke signal there, Kurt?
I don't think it's a smoke signal. I think that's always a part of my DNA.
Yeah.
Especially when you get around Super Bowl time, and you go to the stadiums, called the championship game or whatever that is, you get into these big moments and you step on the field
Yeah.
and you're like, I want to play one more time. Like, I don't need the 17 games of the regular season, but give me a couple more of these games. But yeah, I mean, I think the coaching and teaching part is something that I love. I see all these videos of kids out there throwing, and Manu, sometimes I look at it and go, what are these kids doing?
Yes.
Like, you wish you could get your hands on them. But more importantly, I think it's just, I see so many of those videos because of people that I follow.
Yeah.
And you just want to be able to help impact the next generation. And, all the talent that we have out there at the quarterback position and young talent, they're trying to figure it out, so they can play at the next level or be as good as they can possibly be. It's just fun for me. I get a chance to do that a couple times a year, have people over to the house or work with different people and help train people. And I love it, both on and off the on the field stuff and the mental stuff. I just love
Technically clear
of things, and I don't think that will ever leave me. So not really a smoke signal. Kind of told my wife there's probably no full-time coaching in my future unless my son Cade gets a head coaching job somewhere and he can talk me in, or more importantly, he can talk her into letting me maybe join the staff or be a consultant for him. But outside of that, it'll be more of the stuff I do with QB Confidential, the stuff I do personally, and then maybe there'll be a chance for me to jump into a consulting role with a couple different teams, because I love the game planning and I love the drawing up of plays and doing that sort of thing. So we'll see. You always just kind of, it's always in the back of my mind is how can I help teach this position and share my passion and share my knowledge with other people. And as you know, I've got a number of different ways in which I do it. I don't know what it'll look 5 years from now compared to what it looks like now, but I enjoy it.
But it sounds like he's talking himself into it right there.
Well,
it sounds like
and I'm
going down
always,
that road.
you mentioned at your QB Confidential on Twitter, at QB Confidential. I appreciate you posting, because I have all my guys watch you take to the little details that I can't cover in 90 minutes. You do a good job of the film study and just the little things that I appreciate that you continue to do that, Kurt, because you break it down in layman's terms so these young guys, even some of the college and pro guys, understand. I think that's your calling from that standpoint, at least for now.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I do it is solely for the fact that I can't get in front of everybody.
Right.
And as you said, even some of these pro guys is that I don't have that relationship, or maybe they're not even interested in like sitting down and doing that. But my hope is always, like, even what I do on like NFL Network, when I do XOs and stuff, my point is always hoping that it gets back to the coaches and the players that are involved, so they can challenge their thinking and they can challenge what they're seeing and they can ask the why of it. So, even though it appears more that, hey, it's for the fans to get them ready for the games, a big part of why I do what I do is I want, coaches and players at all levels to look at it and then be able to take it back and go, man, do we do that? Should we do that? Is that something? Why do I do what I do? And that to me is, I agree with you. I take that seriously as kind of one of the things that, since I'm not coaching, that I can use as a means to coach the masses, right? Mm-hmm. For you to be able to see that and go, hey guys, this is something that I wish we could teach. We don't have time. Here, go watch this.
Yes.
And then maybe we can apply it next time around. Or, QB Confidential that I created. I know there's a lot of quarterback coaches out there that don't understand the mental side of it like I do.
Amen.
And so I tell them all the time, man, just use this as as a means, so you don't have to go into the room and teach them all this. Tell them to go watch whatever Blackboard Breakdowns, number 37, and then you can take them into the the room, and you've already got it taught for you, and you can answer questions, and you can take, so it can be a supplement for these guys and for these coaches. And so that's really why I created it. And and so I think you're right, is that it's my way of kind of teaching and coaching without being in a full-time coaching role.
I'll leave you with this, Coach. When it comes to the Sunday, all right, what is your schedule? How many hours of pregame will the NFL Network be putting on?
Too many. Too many. I think we've got 8 hours, 7.5 or 8 hours.
Wow.
On Sunday. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, we all know what the Super Bowl has become.
Yeah. Sure.
People turn on the TV as soon as they get up in the morning, and their whole day revolves around that game, eating food and listening to things, and what can we watch for in the game. So yeah, it's crazy. We do I think I do 7 hours and 15 minutes before I have to go call the game for radio.
Wow.
But yeah, we'll cover all those different little matchups for people to see, and then I get the blessing of going up in the booth with Kevin Harlan and calling the game. So it's a long day, but it is a fun day, and it's a great way to culminate what's going to be an incredible season, no matter who wins this game. But another great season doing what I do.
We'll be watching and listening. Thanks, Kurt, as always, for giving us some time. We appreciate you. Thank you.
You got it, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
That's Kurt Warner. Follow him on Twitter X, Kurt13Warner. We went a little long. Sorry. We'll come back with more Rock and Manuch with Jimmy B right here on ESPN.